Hello everybody and welcome to Senior Susie Stamps. Today is Sunday with Susie and we're going to make some scrap cards today. But first I wanted to show you the punches that I pulled out that I've made some cards with and that I've made the packets that we're going to put together today. There's some flower punches and this is a little border punch. I hope you can see the image on that. They're just tiny little flowers. Let me show you a card that these are on in just a second. This is an EK punch that I've had for quite a while. So I kind of like to look for some punches that have the leaf and several different flower designs. And then I punch them in white and color them with pens. This one came from Stampin' Up. This is a Bira Bira punch. Now personally, just for me, I like this style punch better because on these lever punches, for some reason, they kind of make me a little nervous having to put the pressure down on them because I normally punch on cardstock. I don't usually punch on lightweight, and these work just fine, but you have to be careful about how heavy your paper is. But you see what a nice punch this is. It's got all kinds of images. It's got a little leaf and several flower images, so these are good punches to have on hand. I also used my plain old circle punch. And some of these other little punches. This is a quarter rounder. So let me get these out of the way. Before I go though, I wanted to show you these adorable, cute little Easter pencils that I found at the Dollar Tree. This one's got chicks on it. This one's got little bunnies. And this one's got stripies with eggs and rabbits on it. I just could not resist. Honestly, I'm a total sucker for these kind of things. I can't help it. So we might be using one of those today, but I think I've already used it in one I needed. So here we go. Let's get started. Let me get this stuff cleared out of the way. Now let me show you some things today. This is some tissue paper. I got some Happy Mail this last week that was just over the top wonderful. And in that Happy Mail was this just lovely tissue paper. Well, you know, I feel like tissue paper and paper napkins, like they're just another opportunity to make a card, don't you? And so what I did was I ran this tissue paper through my laminator to get the wrinkles out of it. And then I put it back in and laminated just one side. And if you want to see me do a video on that, let me know in the comments. I think there's plenty of videos out there, but I'm happy to do one as well. So what I did was to laminate the one side to give this paper some structure so that I could use it like a piece of cardstock. And then I made some cards out of it. And here they are. And this is the one, that little tiny punch, the border punch that I was telling you about. And I used a little tiny circle punch that's about 1/8 of an inch, and then a little blue 2mm gem. So they're variations on the same card, different sizes, but these are just some note cards. And this one doesn't have any flowers at all on it, but I just wanted to show you how nicely you could use some really pretty tissue paper. So if you ever get a gift with some tissue paper in it, think about making a card out of it and sending your thank you note back with the tissue paper. How fun is that? Now, let's get started. In that Happy Mail were some frames and tags from Cartabella. And I had just been looking at this set of tags because Paper Wishes happened to have them on one of their sale days, and I thought, ooh, I wonder what I could do with those. Well, while I was thinking about it, I forgot about it, and I didn't get them ordered. So when I got this Happy Mail, and they happened to have this exact set of frame and tags in it, I was really stoked about it, and that's what we're going to work with today, is some of these lovely frames and tags that came from Cartabella. Now, when you get something like this, sometimes it can be a little challenging to find paper that you want to have to go with it if you're looking for exact match, but you don't have to have exact match. And let me show you some. We're going to go ahead and start. I'm going to use Stampin' Up stamp set called Dreams du Jour. I got it used. It was never mounted. I mounted it up on some easy foam so that I could put it on my Misty and use it. But that's what we're going to use for part of the cards today. And I found some Stampin' Up! Paper in my scrap bin, and this is all the little scraps I have left. I have one sheet that's a full sheet, and it's the back side of this. This is what's on the back side, which that's just ugly paper to me. I'm sorry, y'all, but I never did like that piece. And this piece is a weird color, but it works. So I pulled some of those little scraps, and I tried to size my card so that I could maximize the scrap of paper that I was using and use some of those labels and tags. This was my favorite piece of paper out of that paper pack. It's the only piece I have left, I think, unless there's some little teensy straggly pieces in there. But I'm going to put that down just as a single base, and then we're going to build this card using some of this scrap paper that was in there. And I'm using Books by Hand PVA glue today for the large piece glue down, and then I'm probably going to use my art glitter glue for embellishment glue down because it grabs a little quicker. But I really like this Books by Hand PVA glue for gluing large pieces down like this. You don't ever see any glue streaks in your work, and it works well for me. So this is the piece that I pulled to use with this card, and you can see the color's not exactly perfect, but that's okay. And what I'm going to do is put a piece of regular cellophane tape across the back to stabilize this so it won't pop out that way. You follow me? I'm going to glue it. I'm only going to stabilize it on one side because I want to be able to thread this piece up in there. So this is pretty much the way that card is going to go. I'm going to glue this down to the white strip just to give it a little more contrast by my changing that green color up there, going over top of this blue. And I'm going to leave it long like this. I may trim it, I may not. I'm just not sure right now. And I like that look going across that way. But I want to put this piece down here as a sentiment. So I'm going to kind of center this up on the top and then drop this down as a little lower sentiment. And I think I'll put this stamp right here up in the middle of that, and it'll kind of all tie the black dots in the flowers in with the black and white. And then I have some little flowers to use that I made out of some of those punches, and we're going to go ahead and embellish this card. I've also got a little bow that I think may not be necessary, so we'll see. I'm not quite sure about that green strip either, but I think we're going to go ahead and use it anyway, whether I'm sure about it or not. So let's go ahead and glue this down. And I'm only going to glue around the frame. I'm going to let the tag float free because I need to be able to get up underneath of it. There we go. I'm going to trim these little white edges down off of this just a little bit, since it's too long anyway. And I'm going to put a little glue on this. And I'm using that PVA glue because it'll give me just a little extra slip time on this particular piece because I want to get it kind of centered up in here. And there we go. Looks like I got that just a little bit uneven there. Maybe that'll work better now. And on this one, I'm going to put that up on a little piece of foam just for a little extra dimension. And it'll give me an opportunity to slip some flowers in around this sentiment for the top. There we go. And this one I'm not going to put down yet because I don't know if I want to elevate it or if I'm going to put it down flat. But I've got some flowers here. They were punched out of white paper, and then I colorized these with a Spectra Noir, and it's GB7 pen. And I thought I would do 2 large ones and 1 small one, and then 2 small ones and 1 large one, to kind of round out the circle just a little bit, and maybe give a little extra color down in through here. Okay, I am going to go ahead and put this down flat, so let me do that now. So I think I'm going to put that about right there. I like this. The way to know life is to love many things and love you. That's sweet. Okay, so these are going to get glued down, and I'm not going to put any dimension underneath these. I'm just going to glue them to the different layers and let them glue in there on the layer level that they end up with. And then I have some little tiny leaves that were part of that punch set, remember I showed you. Now these have a little T90 flower gem in them that kind of go with the rest of those flowers a little bit. And then I want to put a little leaf in there somewhere. And again, I just colored these leaves with my Spectra Noir pen, and it was DG4. Dark green. Let's lift this up just a little bit, and that's still just a little loose, so let me do what I said I was going to do, and change over to my art glitter glue, because I want those to glue down a little quicker. Now we go on. When I set embellishments, I don't like to worry about whether or not they're gluing in. That's just me. Some people like to have a little time to make up their mind as to whether or not they like that spot or not, but it doesn't bother me. If I've got it just a little bit off, then so be it. I need to glue these in. There, and one more. And there's the front of that card done. Now I think I have a little strip here someplace that I seem to have misplaced. Let me see if I can find it. There we go, and this one is for the inside. And then we're going to make a final flower that pulls the front into the inside of the card then. And I've got this little tiny center here, and a couple of leaves that I'm going to colorize. Because I'm going to go ahead and put these leaves up underneath the petals of that flower, I can just hold them with my tweezers. I don't need the color to go all the way to the bottom, in other words. I'm using the chisel point and just kind of making a little leafy like motion there. And then I need a little bit of this other color on the little dot. And this is just a really quick and easy way to colorize your white paper when you do punches like that, so that you can have the colors that you want and punch it all at one time. I'm going to go ahead and put my little dot in the middle here. And then this one, these I got from eBay, and they're very small, tiny little flowers, but I like them. I don't know whether there are any left or not. If there are, I'll put a link down below, and if not, if you don't see a link down below, then I didn't find them. They didn't have many when I got these, so they may be out. I'm going to go ahead and put my big flower down with just a little glue on the center, because I want to be able to slip those leaves up underneath so that I can hide that little white tip that I didn't quite get colorized. Like that. And when I'm doing leaves like this, I'm pointing the tip of the leaf right into the center of that flower so that it looks like it should. Otherwise, they look a little miscombobulated, really, to me. They may look all right to other people, but I kind of like them that way. And then I'm just going to stick this other one on here as well. There. And that's a nice little inside treatment for that card. So, see how nice those turned out? And it's colorful. The paper does not work with the tags, but it does. So, there's number one. Let's look at number two. This one's going to be a mini slimline card. And it uses that weird color of paper. Remember I told you I just don't see why Stampin' Up! Made that paper, but regardless, I'm going to use my ATG gun on this one. I had somebody ask me recently, how do you decide what kind of adhesive you use? And, you know, I guess my response to that is it's a totally personal preference. And it changes day to day and moment to moment as far as to what you want to use. I like to use my ATG gun because it's fast and it covers well and what have you. Now, this is kind of the same sort of thing. I'm going to run this little stripey through this piece here. So I want to stabilize this on the back side with a good tape that'll hold it well, because there's not going to be any glue up underneath that spot there. And this is not the repositionable tape. This is the regular plain old tape, office tape, that you would use for taping anything else you wanted to do. And it'll hold well, and it'll hold well enough that this will be a functional little trough there that I can put that in. Now, I am going to put this piece up underneath here. And I have a lot of little flowers. These came from the Dollar Tree, and they're just stickers. And I want to put this down this way somewhere, and I'm not exactly sure where quite yet. So I think what I'm going to do is put a little glue on this end, and I'm going to use my art glitter glue because I want this to go ahead and grab. Because I'm probably going to have to lift it up and put glue underneath it once I figure out where this needs to go, because it has to be kind of positioned around these little things. Now, I cut these off, but I've got the clear acetate on the back still, because I kind of wanted to be able to get these positioned sort of right the way I want them to be on this card. And I do that before I take them apart. So this is what I'm thinking might look kind of fun. And see how the tag here has little daisies. Well, it goes very well with these little daisies. The little ladybug picks up the kind of pinky red here. And this weird little yellow mustardy color works well with the rest of it. So I'm thinking this tag needs to come all the way down here to about 1/4 of an inch. So that's what we're going to go with. And I'm going to go ahead and get that glued in. And I am going to use my art glitter glue for that, because I want it to grab and be nice and stable, so that I don't have to worry about it anymore. These are some note cards that I'm making for a friend of mine who is leaving the area, sadly. But she loves to send out my cards, and so over the years we've kind of developed a little card relationship where I make them and she sends them. So in order to save myself a little bit of postage sending these to her later, I wanted to go ahead and get some made. I'm going to poke this little extra piece out so that this stripey will show through this flower. There we go. And I am going to go ahead and put just a little glue on this foam. You saw me do that on the other one as well, just so I can slip a little bit, because I want to snuggle these kind of in a little cluster. Not too tight, but like that. And there we go. Card 2 almost finished. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a strip on the inside and not put a flower on the inside of this one. Just do the strip. And that uses up that piece of scrap paper very nicely, even if it is a really weird color. So there's card number 2. Let's look at card number 3. Now this one is a photo envelope, and it's a 6 by 4 1/4 inch base. So you take your piece of cardstock and just cut it at 6 inches, and then score that and make it 4 1/4 inch card. And this is all still part of that paper pack. It's a real pretty kind of melony color. And when we get over here to see the rest of it in the tag, you'll see why I chose this kind of melon color, even though it kind of sort of doesn't go with anything either. But isn't that pretty paper? This is another piece out of that same pack, and I just thought it was gorgeous. And I think this might be the last piece of that one I have too. I used all the blue one, and then I used all of this little melon colored paper. So now this was the tag, of course, without the green, but this was the tag, and I went ahead and taped the back down, and then I've glued it down, and I ran a piece of this kind of burgundy ribbon. It's kind of a burgundy purpley ribbon because of these flowers right here, and that will help tie these flowers into the whole card. And then this colored paper ties this flower in, and that one, and then this little black center to that poppy ties this piece here in. So let's get this put down, and I'm going to elevate this up on some glue, some foam, because I think this card needs a little extra something something, and I think the foam is going to do it. But you can see on that ribbon I used my tape right there, and it'll hold that. There's not going to be any stress on that ribbon at all. And I used my corner rounder on these corners because of the way the shape of the tag was. And there we go. And I've got a nice little bow made, which we may or may not put on it. And then I have this nice little die cut. Now this die cut, let me show you. This is a Julie Hickey Designs, and it's called Beautiful Blooms die set. You'll have to do an internet search. I don't remember where I got this, but it's really a pretty set. And it has these just gorgeous, fine flowers, these 2 dies right here, and then this one is what I used for the center on that. But this one will lay down on top of this one so that you have a solid backer if you want to. And this is the same way. It has that same thin outline, and then a solid backer if you want it to. So now I'm thinking, because this ribbon won't quite lay flat enough, that I'm going to put a little piece of a glue dot, and I'm not going to curl my glue dot, I hope. I'm going to leave it flat, as flat can be. Flat as a flitter, they say. Did you ever hear that expression? One of those old grandma sayings, I'm afraid. Okay, so I think that helps that quite a bit. And then this one, I just tried to mimic this little spot right here with that little white pen, and I used a little white Jelly Roll pen. This is my favorite white pen. It works consistently every single time for me, and it's just called a Jelly Roll. Look them up, and they've got all different kinds of colors in them, but the white is really just exceptional. So I'm going to just glue that down I put 2 pieces of white cardstock lift up underneath that, and I used my little 3/8 inch punch to make those. And that card, oops, I forgot about this. What do we think? I kind of like that little ribbon on there, that little bow. So let's put that on with a single glue dot. And there we go. Isn't that a pretty card? So I'm not going to do anything to the inside of this one because I want to be able to write a note in it. But there's card number 3 done. We got 2 more. Hang on. Don't go away yet. All right, let's just see what we got on this one. Oh, this is that same paper again. And here is the tag. I'm going to tape it in just like I did before. And then I'm going to run this little stripey in there. And all I did for the edge here was to use some of my decorative scissors. So I'm going to push that right up in there. And I'm going to center it because this one just kind of goes in the center. Let's go ahead and put this piece down. And I have a little strip to go on the inside. We might as well put that down at the same time. And we'll get that done. You are the sweetest. And I think I wanted to put something else over the top of that. So I got some inks out that I thought might kind of go with that weird yellow. And I had Daffodil Delight, which is this one, I think. I'm not sure. I don't remember. And that kind of goes with that really well, but it doesn't kind of stand out. And I kind of want it to stand out. And I'm going to use this butterfly with that. So I had this other stamp pad, and it used to be Summer Star Fruit. Well, I put Bumblebee over the top of it because it was a great ink pad. And so that was the color that I ended up with there. And it doesn't really quite exactly go with that, but I think it goes with the inside of this butterfly. And that's why I'm going to choose to use this piece right here. So let me get that cut, and I'll be right back. I kind of like it that way. Let's just glue it down. We're not going to worry too awfully much about this. You can detail yourself into the crazy land. Or at least I can easily. Okay, there we go. I guess my point to showing you this is you don't ever have to take things just as they are and use them. You can adapt them and use them however you want to in your studio and do that. It's perfectly fine to do that. There we go. And see, I think this color kind of brings out that color in the flowers. And I'm going to put this up on some foam, and I'm going to glue this to the back first. I got my foam supply redone this week. I have been making Easter cards, and I just had to take a break from Easter cards. I'm using some Echo Park paper. Let me know in the comments if y'all want to see those, because I haven't put them all together yet. I waited to get your opinion on it. And I can do those next Sunday. We've got plenty of time. I took the ones to the nursing home this week so they'd have them for their little event. And so now I'm thinking I'm going to move this down. I'm just going to shift it that way a little bit to give my, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll go with my original plan and leave it in the middle and just work my butterfly up in there. I think that'll work fine. Now, this is a butterfly that I got in some Happy Mail. Isn't it pretty? I just think it's gorgeous. And I'm going to glue it straight down because this is already elevated up. And I'm going to hide that spot where I messed the paper up. Easy to do. And that card's done. I might try to see if I find another little butterfly. Hang on. There might be another little one in here. There's one. That might work. This was the nicest bunch of little butterflies that my friend sent me. Let's see. I kind of like that one, but it's a little big. I believe I used this smaller one. But I have really enjoyed using those. Now, that great big monster one that's in there, I'm still studying what to do with it, but I'll use it eventually. There we go. So with just a little bit of extra embellishment from all different kinds of sources, these little cards are coming together just fine. Okay, final card. Here we are. Now this one has a little weird ribbon treatment. I tried to do something different on it. I couldn't get it to work for me, but I made these sweet little daisy embellishments because this little tag that came in my Happy Mail that says, "Do you suppose she's a wildflower?" That just totally cracked me up. But I thought, ooh, I can make these little daisies to go with that, and then it'll work on this green paper. And then the more I studied it, I thought, I think I need something else. So I ended up with this little white backer, and I'm going to go ahead and get that glued on because that's a definite use there. And then I believe I'm going to put it up on some foam tape. But I tried to do a little something, and sometimes, you know, that backfires on you. So I punched a little hole in my paper with my little ribbon punch. Well, then you're kind of committed, you know. Well, then I didn't like it. So I made this weird little poofy ribbon treatment, and you can let me know in the comments what you think. Now, this is another photo size, which is 6 by 4 1/4. And so I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down flat. And you can see my pencil line that I drew on the back so that I could get my little ribbon punches perfectly centered there. And now this is going to be a landscape card, and this goes right up in there between those two little poofies on some foam tape. And I believe this foam tape is just a little too wide, so let's just do it this way instead. And then these little daisies, and I did them the same way. I punched them out with that punch, and that was the Stampin' Up! Punch, and it's moved off. I can't remember what I did with it. But the leaves and the, oh wait, no, that's not right. Hang on a second. I'll show you those punches in just a sec. Here we go. I'm using these little diamonds right here to kind of line that up a little bit. There we go. Let me show you the punches that I used on this. There's this punch right here, and this punch, that punch, and this punch. All of those. I think it pays to have a lot of different punches in your studio. So I'm going to put these kind of like that, and that will mean a piece of foam, which is fine. And then I have a little strip for the inside, and I have another little flower here someplace, I thought. If not, I guess we'll make another one. So let's just see here. We'll do it like this. And you can see I added just a little bit of white ink on those leaves. And then this leaf was a little lighter green than that DG4. But I did go around the outside with the DG4 just for a little contrast. I may have gotten that tape a little too far. No, there. Wait. Come on. Back here. I don't want to have to cut those leaves off. There we go. Now. And then this one's going to go down here on this side. There we go. This piece is going to go on the inside, down the left side of the card. Over here. And I'm going to make another one of those little flowers. So let me do that and I'll be right back. Okay, I got that all ready to put in. And here we go. I think we'll put it up at the top maybe. Something like that, or maybe down over here at the bottom. It's kind of big, isn't it? Maybe I shouldn't have put that big flower on there, but you know, I kind of like it. So let's just use it. Let's use it this way. And that'll make a nice little card to send. So let me know what you think about this. I think maybe I'll put a few little yellow gems on this one, just kind of to help a little bit with the travel around the card with your eye. So what we want to do is to put some in kind of a big triangle, and that helps your eye move around the card a little bit. There. So there we are. And the card's done. Let me know if you had a favorite, and I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye-bye, y'all. Take care.